My name is Nita Clark. I'm a former advisor at Number 10 to Tony Blair. I do a lot of work now on employee engagement and good management. I have a slightly checkered history in the sense that I was also Ken Livingstone's press officer at the GLC in the glory days of the 1980s. And in fact, of course, Coin Street, I don't know if it was explained the history of this place, but the GLC was very active in getting Coin Street off the ground. I mean, it's an extraordinary day, is it not, to be meeting? I mean, in Labour Party terms, it's going to go down, I think, in history as a key date, with Tom's announcement and Angela indicating her intention. And so I think we will...
Lots of people don't know.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, according to the information I've received, Tom Watson has called off his talks that he was having with the trade unions and with Jeremy on the grounds that Jeremy has said he's not going anywhere. So there's no point anymore. And it is being reported, and I say no more than this because one always has to be very careful. It is being reported that Angela Eagle has said that she will be making an announcement on Monday. So that's my. So it's, I mean, the trouble is we've been living through a series of bloody historic days. As one of my kids said to me, they're going to be writing about all of this in the history books in 50 years' time. And that is, of course, absolutely true, while extraordinarily uncomfortable, I think, to actually live through. I mean, we are living in what will be defining times for the Labour Party. Of that, in my view, and I'm sure in your view, there is no doubt. But the one thing I think that has been and is constant, right, is the remarkable record of achievement of Labour local government. And because of the national shenanigans, we have not been able, or we have failed, I don't mean we in the room, I mean the party nationally, in a sense, has failed to really explain to the British people just what Labour can do when in government. Just as they failed to explain what Labour did when we were in government, so I think they failed to really pinpoint what Labour can do in local government, and the record of success. And a record of success against a background of austerity. So these achievements that Joe's going to be talking about have been achieved against absolutely daunting odds. When your cake's growing, it's easy to set up your Sure Start centres, isn't it? But when the cake is being absolutely decimated, and you can still protect and develop those, and now that's what I call a record of achievement. So I was really delighted to be asked to come and introduce this session today. Joe is a remarkable person. He started life in the Royal Navy. In the Merchant Navy, I'm sorry. He was first elected to Liverpool City Council. And I'm of a generation where when you say Liverpool City Council, my instinctive reaction still is I've had to relearn that pattern of behaviour, and Joe has been absolutely central to that relearning. He was elected leader of the Labour group just 5 years later. He became leader of the council when we won control in 2010. He has huge roots in the local community, including being a governor of a local primary school for the last 12 years, and he spent a large part of his working life working with young people and in education and welfare. Now, in 2012, he was elected Mayor of Liverpool, and he was also awarded an OBE for services to local government, a most justified OBE, and he's currently standing in the selection for the Merseyside Metro Mayor. So there is no better person than to A, kick off the afternoon session, and B, to tell us like it is than Joe. Welcome, Joe.
Well, thank you, Nita, for that. That just threw me getting a round of applause. Usually I get hissed and booed when I walk in, and that was when I actually announced my candidature for the Metro Mayor, that I was getting hissed and booed. But look, it's great to be here in London. I enjoy travelling down and coming to this great city, and there's always a debate, isn't there, around which is the second city of the capital of England, which is the second city of England. And the more I come here, the more I see of London, I think it deserves that. So I just want to start because clearly I want to give My view, when it was announced that I was coming to speak at Progress, like you, I was trolled and insulted, and you know, I just want to start by saying I'm delighted to accept the invitation. I'm not a member of Progress, I'm not a member of Compass, I'm not a member of Momentum, I'm not old Labour, I'm not new Labour. I just think I'm authentic Labour, and that's my values. But I want to just have and make a few, maybe some controversial comments, and in light of the announcements, let's get on with it now. That's my message. Let's get on with making the case for Labour in the leadership election, and let's hope that we can talk about our values, but also about our policies and about future. And I'll talk a little bit about that, because today's about vision, isn't it? It's about leadership, and I came into the morning session and heard some of the people making conversations about that. And what I would suggest, and I said, I know I've only got 10 minutes, is that we've lacked leadership in the Labour Party for 10 years at least. And, sorry if that offends some of the Ed Miliband fans, but, I think he was the laissez-faire leader of the Labour Party. Just leave things alone, and let's rely on the 35% strategy, the 27% strategy, whatever strategy, and it was leaving local government to fend for itself. But let me just say as well, around Ed Miliband, he came to Liverpool to hoist the saltire when we were campaigning on the Scottish referendum. And I remember talking to him about the challenges that we faced in local government in particular, but also about the challenges that we faced in Liverpool and the whole city region. And I pointed out to him that Witney in Oxfordshire, which is David Cameron's constituency, actually receives more in council tax than 5 constituencies in Liverpool. And that was his first visit to Liverpool, because I think he spent a lot of time preparing for Prime Minister's question time rather than going out and about and meeting people. But he actually was shocked by that. And that, in my view, sums up the disconnect between the leadership of the Labour Party and local government. And I'll say this, Jeremy Corbyn's visited Liverpool 3 times, but he came on his last visit and we had a real conversation about the challenges that we faced in Liverpool, and in particular how we resolved the issues around adult social care and supporting people within Liverpool. And I told him that we'd been in receipt of 58% cuts in Liverpool, and we'd lost £340 million of our funding. And he said, what are you going to do about it? So I think, from 2 leaders of the Labour Party, we had one who didn't understand the problems that we face, and another one who doesn't know how to help us deal with it or solve those particular problems. Hence my first comments about the lack of leadership. And, we have now, don't we, in terms of times ahead of us, in terms of the leadership of our own party, and then nationally as well, in terms of where we are with devolution and all of those things. We've got, I'm sick and tired of hearing people telling me that the Conservative Party is in disarray. I wish we could have that disarray in the Labour Party. We've got quietly they're getting on with an election amongst themselves, and we're going to have either a winner who's somebody that basically has a vision, an ideological vision of a smaller state, and who supported Remain, and another one with a similar mentality who voted for Brexit. And that's the real issue that faces us as a country, and in terms of how do we actually support ourselves. And what really worries me is that I've been arguing for devolution and for more powers and more responsibility to do things within Liverpool, but the city region, and obviously in Manchester and Birmingham and elsewhere, and not just the core cities either, but elsewhere. And let's remind ourselves that in 2001, it was the Labour Party that introduced devolution in its, the Local Government Act. It was the Labour Party that talked about metro mayors, that talked about devolving power and responsibility, and we've allowed the Tories to steal our clothes and make that case for devolution, and we just stand by without making any comments at all. So, there's been no leadership within the Labour Party. There's been that vacuum, and for me, I agree with Jeremy Corbyn in some senses about the need for a new politics. But, what we are left with at this juncture in the Labour Party is a party that's bereft of policies or direction, and that's under his leadership. So, for me, things haven't got any better. In some sense, they've got absolutely worse. So, I'm listening to the debate, and like you, I'm listening to the new members who are talking about this new form of politics, and this, we can't. I'm listening to them in Liverpool, and I'm listening to them in Manchester and across the country, where they're saying, I'm a red Tory because I'm engaging with central government to look at finding solutions for the people that I was elected to represent. And they stand on the sidelines, not just attacking me, but attacking other leaders across the country. And I just don't think that Jeremy Corbyn or other people understand that the reason why we are being innovative, the reason why we are doing things, is because the necessity of if you like, invention is need, and that's because we're desperately trying to find and look for solutions. And you're absolutely right when you talk about, one of the proudest things that I've been able to achieve, facing those 58% cuts and £340 million reduction in funding, is to actually steer our city through those turbulent times, as well as being able to invest to create, I call it invest to earn, invest to actually get a return back, because we've invested in infrastructure. And that growth that we've created in terms of new housing and new schools. The new housing, for instance, 5,084 new housing has brought in a revenue of about £6 million in council tax. And the more we do that and look at doing that, rather than looking at housing just as a social need, but we look at it as a business case to actually develop more housing, to create more apprenticeships, to use the local supply chain and create growth. That's the way the Labour Party needs to shape itself in the future. And it's interesting, isn't it, that the Tories use this brand of one nation conservatism. Well, we've got to have a brand that appeals to the country, one nation Labour Party, and it's about making sure that we have the policies, not just the soundbites, anti-Trident, the soundbites, we'll do this and we'll do that, but real policies that appeal to people's lives, jobs, better education, more housing, all of the things that people want to hear us talk about, all of the things we're failing to talk about. That's where the void is. That's why the disconnect is. And when we talk about the Tories, we talk about Brexit and we talk about the problems that we face. And some people are saying to me that we've got to connect with the South, we've got to connect with... Well, let me tell you the problems that we face in the North, and you've seen it with Brexit. In Liverpool City region, 3 out of the 6 districts voted to leave. Well, why did they vote to leave? Why did they feel disconnected, disenfranchised? That's our job, that's my job, that's your job, that's the leadership of the Labour Party's job, to make sure that we reconnect with them, not standing on the sidelines and preparing for 3 days for Prime Minister's question time and they get torn to shreds. Get out and make the news, get out and make sure that we have the policies that appeal to those people. Let's create them, and let's hope that the next couple of weeks will give us the opportunity to challenge those that are standing, to let us hear and see that vision as well. So, I actually want to create a situation with the Labour Party locally that actually keeps connected to the people that we are in real danger of losing. Because the values and the principles that we have are going to be meaningless if we can't implement them and we can't make sure that they are at the heart of everything that we're about. And so, you know, I'm determined to make sure that the devolution agenda, for instance, is used in a way that can show how Labour is being progressive in government. And that's why on housing, when we're looking at that issue of housing and the real challenge that we face across the whole country, not just in the northwest, I'm turning that around and making sure that we look at housing in a way that actually contributes to the growth within Liverpool. We're building and we're committed to build 10,000 houses, and we're turning the right to buy on its head. We're calling it rent to buy, and we're going to provide £1 billion worth of resources to build 10,000 new houses, and the income that generates in rent will be £27 million a year. On top of that, we'll get a council tax that will help us protect and pay for the services that we require and we need within the city. It's actually being entrepreneurial, a word that, you know, socialists, I'm proud to use. I always tell a little story at this juncture about John Prescott. John Prescott, you can speak a paragraph of gobbledygook, but you know what he means. And at the end of the day, he said about socialism in a modern setting. And I said to him, John, that's something that I constantly repeat because I'm a socialist. I'm a proud socialist, but I'm a pragmatic person and I want to modernise and do things. And he said, Joe, I can tell you that wasn't my phrase, it was Rodney Bickerstaff's. So if you ever see him make that point to him. But that's exactly what we've got to do, and it comes back to that invest to earn strategy. So for me, it's very, very simple. Is my challenge to you, my challenge to you as Progress, my challenge to other groups within the Labour Party, is to look at how we encourage our Parliamentary Labour Party to recognise the contribution that Labour is making up and down the country. Don't buy into this, we're not in control. Labour is in control. Labour is in control of Birmingham, it's in control of Manchester, it's in control of Sheffield, it's in control of Bristol, it's in control of Liverpool. Labour is in control, and it is absolutely delivering, but we need more, and we need to be able to not only stand up and fight and articulate the case against the Tories and their failed policies, we've got to have our own. We've got to appeal to people. We have to give people hope. If we fail to give people hope, we are doomed. We will not, sorry to sound like Dad's Army there, but we are doomed. We are doomed to stay in opposition for 15 or 20 years. Local government is giving hope to people. It's not our national party that is giving hope to people. It's me and other people across the country representing the people in our cities, in our communities, that has given hope. Let me say to the candidates for the leadership, it's right that we have that election now. It's right that we have our debate now. And it's right that we bring our party back to representing people's values across the whole country. Not north and south or east and west, across the breadth of this country. Progress can play its part in that. And I'm happy to work with Progress or anybody else to make sure that we get that message across. Thank you.
That was an outstanding address on today. Thank you so very, very much. So he's drawing me on the S&M chair. This chair is a little fetish. I don't know what made me think
That's what happens at Progress.
Right, so we're open for questions. in the Conservative Party leadership whether the Osborne-type focus on devolution, Northern Powerhouse and so on is likely to change. How far down the road has that policy gone? Is it irreversible, or is there a danger that centralism could come back?
I can't be confident that for instance, the devolution or the Northern Powerhouse or the Midlands engine or the South East commitment to growth from George Osborne is going to stay. But I've been brought up very old school, don't trust stories and don't trust stories. But I've asked the questions around, for instance, the potential loss of European funding for that side of the revolution. I've been asking those questions, I'll continue to ask those questions. But what I've asked of certain ministers, including Greg Clark, the DCLT minister, who I happen to have full respect for, that there is a commitment to make sure that devolution continues, and there is a commitment to continue with what's been promised. One of the things that I think skillfully George Osborne did was recognise that obviously he's responsible for the austerity issues. And what he skillfully did was recognise that in terms of austerity, the way to get more growth, if you like, is to make sure that the north and the northeast, the south, the west in particular as well, were able to grow, to contribute to the UK PLC. And I think he's certainly positioned the Tories in that place. But I think the next couple of weeks, we take over as leader of the Tories and then Prime Minister. Clearly, I think the pragmatics in terms of the progressives in the Tory party wanted to do trees and eggs, but we voted into that direction. Letson is not necessarily that big.
Okay, thanks. Uncertain times again for us all. Just moving on to the wider, the sort of structural question. What do you see as the key advantage of having the wider Merseyside region and therefore the position of mayor of the wider region? What's the key things, additionality that brings in your view?
Well, I think clearly, instead of having a sort of parochial view of them and us, you can actually work together to. Look, Liverpool, we've positioned in a strong place, and it's beginning to really grow, as you said before. It's shaken off that reputation. Incidentally, it's usually only that reputation around the south and London and stuff elsewhere, but it's certainly not abroad. But we are, a confident city. We're really attractive investment. What I think that agglomeration, that pulling together of the whole region, means that we can do spatial planning. We can, instead of building a new school, half a mile away across a border from another school, and they're both undersubscribed, is actually share services with trust, but also promote the opportunities that exist across the whole city region. I don't care, Liverpool city region is made up of Sefton, Knowsley, Holton, St Helens, Willock and Liverpool. And I don't care whether my son works in Sefton, or he works in Knowsley, or he works in Holton. By the way, I've got 4 children, that might include me a few more votes there. But if you
met your children.
No, if you knew them as I did, you knew that really. But clearly, I don't care. And people don't believe in borders. People just want growth and jobs and opportunities, and it's not important to them. Politicians are hung up with borders, but people aren't. So it gives us that accommodation, gives us that ability to join up together, to borrow, use the strength of borrowing as well, but actually to be more powerful. Speaking, Liverpool City Region has got a bigger GDP than the whole of Wales. 1.5 million people speaking together, a powerful voice means that we can get an ear from government, but also from businesses, from investors as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody hasn't been at the transformation of the city. It's just extraordinary. When you walk out on Street Station, and it's just absolutely wonderful. And beautiful wild development style of dots. It's really genuinely extraordinary to see. So let's take some questions from the floor. Yeah, oh, what a lovely dress you're wearing. First question, is there a roving at the microphone? Hold on, Lisa. So, young lady here.
I'm Ruthie Ryder from Hendon, and I live now in London in the last 11 years, but I was here before the 90s, and I remember the stereotype about Liverpool, like a miserable place, like unemployment, like don't go there, it's 4 hours ride and you don't know why you go there unless you want to see the British Museum. And now so much have changed, and people are looking at it as you said just now, such a transformation that I'm sure that you are one to make it as well. But my question is, this happens in the last 10 years when the Labour is not in power. So maybe this is the reason, I don't know. And is there, how did you do it?
Well, you're absolutely right that it's happened, and the 58% cut that we've had happened with the Conservative government. I remember being elected in May 2010, and every day I was getting a knock on my door telling me we took £300 million building the Schools for the Future programme, housing market renewal, neighbourhood grants, all kinds of grants away from us that were supporting people. So you're absolutely right, it's been done under difficult circumstances. But you've also got to remember that the platform for that was also built with European funding, but also Labour Party funding as well. The transformation in education, for instance, let's remember excellence in cities, Labour initiative, education action zones, Labour initiative, building schools and building new investments in schools, Labour initiatives, the apprenticeship programmes, Labour initiatives, neighbourhood renewal fund, Labour initiatives. All these were initiatives that supported the growth within Liverpool. And then, of course, we had the European Union Fund that was supporting that when the Tories in the previous government before Labour got elected were talking about Mallard's decline. We depended on the European Union, and it was that platform, that foundation, that's created what we have today. So I could easily take credit for it, and I often do, that the transformation is mine and mine alone, but it isn't. It is about the foundations that were put in place by a Labour Party. The previous administration before me was a Liberal Democrat administration that actually replaced and used the government funding in a way that gerrymandered votes for themselves. I can explain that, but believe me, that happened.
Just building on that, one of the things you've done so successfully is develop relationships with local engines of growth, in other words, private sector, local enterprise. Can you say a bit about how your approach to that and why has it been so successful?
Yeah. It's about confidence, and what I said before about being entrepreneurial as a leader is a great example of that. We've just opened an exhibition centre in Liverpool that we borrowed £58 million. That will even in a 4-star hotel. It's created just about 270 jobs, but the boost to the local economy is massive, and the revenue that we get in actually pays for the loan that built it. So it's cost neutral in that sense, but it's reinvigorated that part of the docks, and it's actually made the arena, the convention centre, the exhibition centre one of the best in Europe. And it's that that sign of confidence that we have as a city that actually brings in private sector investments, and if they know that you're open for business and you're genuinely open for business, then they will be encouraged to come. And that's why I said it's about confidence and a real buzz around Liverpool now that is attracting more investment and more growth.
Yeah, thanks. Let me just see. Gentleman over there.
you. Tom Beesy, I'm the leader of Corby Borough Council. I had the pleasure this week of being at the LGA conference, and I met some of your council colleagues, Andrew Byrne, Frank Hunt, Wendy Simon. And we had a very good discussion about housing, and from that discussion it's my intention to take some of my people from Corby up to Liverpool to learn from what some of the things that you're doing. I'm particularly interested around housing and rent to buy and some of the other projects. The question I wanted to ask was about the comments on leadership. I thought were very apt. You're the Mayor of Liverpool. You're a candidate for the Metro Mayor of the Liverpool City region. You're being challenged by two existing members of Parliament in Liverpool. Now, I'll ask you to comment on the respective merits of those two members of Parliament. In Manchester, as we said, also Andy Byrne is doing something similar. And it seems to me, and I'd like your view on this, that there's still a Westminster-centric view that those of us in local government are okay getting on with things, but when there's serious work to be done, leave it to the guys and girls from Westminster, and we'll come in and do it. Now, I think, frankly, that's pretty insulting to those of us who are leading our councils on a daily basis, those of people like yourself in the big cities of this country who have demonstrated labour and power. And I just wonder what your view is on that.
Well, I think I'm on record publicly as saying that exactly what you just said, that when one of the candidates in Greater Manchester called for big hitters, I described that as an insult to leaders and people who chose to stay in local governments, and I still stand by that. I think you can see by my stature, I'm a big hitter. I'm proud of my time in local government. I could have gone and sat on green benches on the arse and done nothing for the last while, but I decided to stay in local government and work in local government. I also would say this in terms of the disconnect between not all, but some people, and in particular the candidates who are standing. One has really, I think, plummeted to new depths by arguing that because we are engaged in discussions about health in Liverpool, and asking the government serious questions and talking, I've been accused of breaking or wanting to break up the National Health Service in the country. And I find that odd that a Labour Party MP can accuse me of that when I've been championing the Labour Party that values, and I'm old enough to be a granddad. I find it abhorrent. I'm doing what I'm doing in devolution because I love my city. I love the people of my city, and I want to protect people in my city as best I can for its only sport, and that's why I'm doing it. Not because I want to break up the National Health Service. On the contrary, I want to protect the National Health Service, and I want to protect the people of my city too.
Rachel wants to hand this. I just wanted to ask you to say a bit more about that, about the NHS, Joe, because Andy Burnham said something similar when the Manchester Duvet deal was being created. Andy Burnham was our lead on health in Westminster at the time, and he said that he worried about punching a hole in the NHS by having devolution to Manchester. And to reference Luciana said something similar in relation to Liverpool. And day to day, I think it's already pretty clear that with health and wellbeing boards and more joint commissioning, good work between local authorities and health colleagues is happening already in discussions about evolving and developing that. So I'd just be grateful for you to say a bit more about how that's currently working well in Liverpool and where you could see it going next in the future.
Well, it is working well in Liverpool. One of the things I set up was a Naval Health Commission. It looked at getting and encouraging the trusts to work together, the commissioning groups to work together. We've had the clinical commissioning groups who done a lot of preventative work with the city in terms of £35 million fund being spent to actually get better outcomes and stuff. Now, if you accept the MP's
claims that it's breaking up the health service. And it's interesting now we've been had some sort of road to Damascus conversion now. But the reality is that, you know, if I was to accept that premise that it was breaking up the health service because we were trying to find solutions around working with the partners, working with the clinical commission group, working with the hospitals, on adult social care alone, which is what I'm interested in. Not negotiating with the Tories to take on debt, not about working with the Tories to break up the National Health Service, but as I said, to get those outcomes. Now, at the end of the day, if I turn round and ideologically said I'm not working with the Tories or I'm not going to do that, then it's the people of Liverpool who suffer. And if I had that same approach 6 years ago, then Liverpool would be closed down and shut down, and I'd have stayed in my bed and not become leader of the council. It's because I'm a leader and you've got to lead in tough times, in good times, when you've got a Labour government or when you haven't got a Labour government. That's what I'm intending to do, and hopefully we'll be able to secure better conditions for the elderly people within our city.
And this is a really crucial point. I mean, we are, you know, this is yet again, if you don't mind me saying so, the Labour Party's obsession with structures, not on outcomes. Yeah. The National Health Service is there for outcomes. Our school system is there for outcomes.
I'd go even further and say the Labour Party focused on some of the people within it and careers.
I'm sure that's true too. I agree. But you know, historically over the years, we've had these discussions, and as I say, have been about, and we are so conservative. I mean, it is bizarre, because we've done something in one particular way over the years, we've got to keep doing it that way. Well, I thought, you know, conservatism is not supposed to be one of our founding tenets. We should be looking at the evidence, but we, again, seem to have gone backwards on that. But I do think that this issue around how you benefit the community has to lie at the heart of this discussion, and not a commitment to an outdated set of structures, which in any event are going to be changed because of the nature of healthcare changing. We are moving from, you know, from a predominantly acute system to one which is absolutely about adult social care and care within the community. It just doesn't work.
I think in that sense we get that don't we? We've got people who are saying we shouldn't do anything, but it's just a conservative, but we've got momentum who are arguing that the health service should be funded by central government, which, you know, we agree with, but it doesn't mean to say there can't be better integration, there can't be better support working with each other across the whole area. And that's the challenge for us, isn't it? To modernise and get better, for better outcomes. And if we do save money, it gets ploughed back into the service.
So,
Thank you.
good morning, thanks.
I'll sit on the end of the row next time. Thank you. Tom Levitt. I was 10 years in local government and 13 years in the House of Commons. And I'm quite distressed to hear what Joe's been saying about not just two leaders, but also obviously the people in the party and their failure to understand local government. I think there are some huge friends and allies of local government within the Parliamentary Labour Party, and they need to be nurtured and they need to be encouraged. And I think when I was in Parliament, I specialised very much in charities and volunteering. I found MPs were very good at knowing what the causes of charities were. They weren't at all good at understanding what it was like to run a charity. And I think it's the same with local government. And whilst I think increasing the number of local government representatives on the NEC is long overdue, I think that is only part of the process. And that we can't complain that one half of the relationship isn't related if the other one isn't almost down on their knees trying to make it. So I think there's a job of education to be done. There are a lot of people who come into the Parliamentary Labour Party never having touched local government, been there, although there are an awful lot who have as well. So I think we need to be building bridges as well as being aware of the shortcomings of the experience of
No, and I accept that. I think it is a question of ignorance, really, of local government and an understanding of local government. I'm not saying everyone, because there's some people that come through local government and end up in Parliament. But, you know, just turning up at LTA conferences and making speeches about how we see life and not understanding of the real issue is got to stop. It's gone on for too long. That disconnect is great. And I think I give evidence to that. I give evidence to that, and I can give you more. And it's worrying. And it is something that needs to be addressed. I mean, in fairness, so as I said, when I and explain to the problems that, he did, say what he was going to do about it. But what he also did was invite me to speak to, it was John Strickett, because John Strickett basically was for local government. And we've met with him, I've met with him in his office to talk about the issues around the challenges we face in local government. So there was beginning to be a dialogue, but I think that's dissipated as well as it should be.
And there you go.
I thought it was very interesting that you met with him, with George, in his office, and surely he should be coming to you. And ultimately, especially Sadiq Khan has now got, I think it's the biggest mandate in the whole of Europe, isn't it? As when you're, fingers crossed, Metro Mayor, and we've also got Manchester, actually, you guys need to have, I think, a seat at the table. I mean, ultimately, us as Labour councillors, we are the second biggest financial contributors to the Labour Party. And actually, when you think about the impact that unions have on the party compared to the voice that we have as councillors, just our financial say should be able to make sure that we have that seat at the top table. And I think we need to be absolutely pushing and change the party. That with you and Sadiq and other people, you need to be up there and you need to be ruling this party and making those big decisions. And we shouldn't be having to come cap and hat. We shouldn't have to cherish and bring on the MPs in Parliament, actually, because we shouldn't have to wait to see that. We should demand it and truly give.
You're absolutely spot on, and I'm not saying this glibly, but even in local government, when I became leader in 2010, we used to pay in Liverpool over £5 million for performance-related pay to senior officers. Well, you can imagine what I've done within 6 months. That was gone. And the fact of the matter is that Whitehall officials are not in control of what ministers can do and can't do. And a lot of ministers don't really know or understand things. Now, the bottom line is that equally applied in local government, that effectively local government leaders were actually in some senses just puppets for chief executives behind. That's changed. I'm a big admirer of Richard Rees and what he's done in Greater Manchester and a few others. And I think we're starting to break through, and I think the Labour Party nationally are now starting to understand the real impact that we are making. But it's spot on, you are, that all they've done with local authorities and councillors is just bleed them dry, and treat them like mushrooms in some senses, just keep them in the dark and feed them a lot of, take the money off them as well, it's absolutely cool.
There was somebody else?
Peter Nath Crawley. To some extent, a lot of the party structure can be hamstrung by the nature of the UK as a state, being the largest, the most centralised sort of Western democracy with a highly sort of centralised unitary state. To some extent, until we get a shift in the way in which we do devolution in the UK, I think all of this is somewhat inevitable. But to move on from attacking the party, so I've had the last couple of weeks myself. Joe, can I ask you about some of the things we're talking in relation to the Entrepreneurial Council? Certainly at my own authority, Crawley, we've been doing a lot of stuff to try and avoid having to make cuts, which are based around generating income, and of course a lot of shifts around things like business rates, having international airports quite handy in our constituency. But ultimately, with Brexit, I'm now very conscious that since everything's tied to income, we're incredibly vulnerable to economic shocks. And as a leader of a significant unitary authority, I was wondering what sort of planning you were doing around what happens if the economy turns back.
Okay, well, continuing to meet with people, investors, promote the city more. We are, in some senses, quite in a reasonably good position in terms of as a port city that we can do trade with not just from Europe but beyond. Obviously, I want to invest elsewhere. I want to be part of the single market, but I also want to trade with others. So it's about not just promoting investment and bringing in investment, but it isn't just that. Devolution, I was speaking at a conference in Manchester yesterday about infrastructure spend and about transport, and that's one component, isn't it, of devolution, about how not only cities but the hinterlands and beyond can regenerate itself, and that's exactly what we've got to continue to do. I think, and that's the frustration with Labour and our leadership nationally, is that if you like, the genie's out of the bottle in terms of devolution and if you like, looking at new forms of governance arrangements and how we can work, not just in regions, but like the Northwest, the whole Northwest. And we've got to take that fight out there. We've got to make sure that we're talking about the issues that can make a real difference. If for instance, with Manchester, we want to engage with investors together about, for instance, the housing issue. If we want to, if government aren't doing it, I wish the Labour Party would step up and say that we would do regional growth funding type issues on housing, so that we could, for instance, leave it in, a big factory situated in the Northwest that provides jobs, but does like, for instance, part modular building of housing, so we can crack on with doing it. That's going to provide apprenticeships, it's going to provide jobs, it's going to provide the housing. And that's where, not only are we, that's why, phrase or call that invest to earn strategy. And that means that Labour can step up to the plate and say, government should do more. Ed Balls did it, 6 years ago in Parliament. I think it was one of the issues that, in my view, undermined Labour's stance and position. He was arguing about we can't just have austerity to, wrap the country out of recession. You've got to invest. And then, he was objecting to HS2 or transport infrastructure spend, contradicting himself. We've got to show that can be done. We've got to use local governments as examples of where that's happening, but not be afraid to argue about stimulating the economy and providing growth opportunities. That's how we're going to get growth within the north and the south west and other places to actually contribute to the UK, the UK PLC. So it's about doing all those things and making that. And as for your particular area, you've got to do that yourselves as well. You've got to do that and lead yourselves to bring in investment and to promote yourselves as a place where where investment should take place.
I thought it was very interesting that one of the candidates for the Tory leadership, Stephen Crowd, about one of the things he was saying was that with government borrowing potentially being so low at the moment, that actually it was possible to borrow to significantly invest in infrastructure, and this was the right time to do it. Now, goodness me, if somebody on the right of the Tory party can say that, it seems to me to be axiomatic, and surely we could give that a bit of consideration. I'm going to take another couple of questions. Gentleman here, and then the lady in the back.
Hello there, my name's Patrick Lilly from Cities of London and Westminster. We've got a Conservative MP and Conservative Council. What advice can you give to those of us who might be aspiring opposition councillors in order to be effective and hold the administrations to account?
Well, it's also for courses, isn't it? I would simply clearly look at what your positive messages are and look at their weaknesses. And when I took over as leader of the Labour Party in Liverpool, we had 19 councillors, now we've got 18. And that's because we've not only promoted the successes, and I think, Alison talked about we branded ourselves as Liverpool Labour, and we made that real difference because we set out a strategy of what we were going to do and how we were going to do things differently. And we also attacked the weaknesses where they had failing. So, more than happy for you to come up to Liverpool and have a look at some of our materials and some of the things that we do, because it isn't just about me. I've got a cabinet that are really bright and sharp, and I've got people around me as well, councillors and members who we work together and we make sure that we take that campaign out. And the bottom line is work hard. You've got to work hard. You've got to make sure that people don't say those words here. We only see it in election time. You've got to make sure that we see it all the time.
Lady at the back.
Hi, I'm Joss Bell. I'm chair of the Socialist Health Association in London, which is the Labour Party health affiliate, so it's the London branch. I did spend some of my childhood on the Mersey, so half my family are Liverpoolians. So it's lovely to hear what you're saying, Joe. My main point is really, we've covered some aspects of health, and I've really reduced that a little bit, but it's about communication. We have, frankly, a God gargantuan task ahead of us with respect to making sure that the whole country engages with what Labour stands for. We've been dreadful in terms of our communication, and we've paid for it at the ballot box, we've paid for it in the Remain campaign. And how can we overcome that? I've got various ideas myself, but I think how can local authorities, where you're doing great stuff in not just metropolitan areas, but in some small boroughs and some of the London boroughs, like over in Hampstead and Fulham, the work Steve's doing, how can we bring that together as, if you like, examples of best practice, where local people are really benefiting from what we're doing across the country, and explain to them, because frankly, over Brexit, they were sold a bunch of lies. We didn't have a message strong enough to overcome that. There was the NHS on the side of the Brexit bus or whatever. Or I was in one breakout session earlier where somebody suggested that perhaps people voted Tory because they thought maybe mental health services weren't important or something like that. I actually would say that most people think mental health services are important. And when they vote Tory, they actually don't know exactly what they're going to get. Okay. Can we show what they will get through a Labour government?
Okay, well, there was a question in there. Let me deal with the old first, and then I'll deal with the question. The question around Europe, and I said, because what worries me is community cohesion around Brexit, is because most of the people that voted for Brexit, if you look at the Merseyside area, 3 voted for Remain, 3 voted for Out. And I was on the doorstep, plenty of times, a lot more than Jeremy was. One of the things that I heard constantly was about immigration. Yeah. Now, let's be absolutely clear that the problems that we face in our communities, in some of those communities that are disaffected and disadvantaged, are not caused by the European Union. They're caused by sensible government policy alone. That's the story. So we've got to get that message across, and we've got to make sure that we do engage. People have got fears. We've got to be not afraid of talking about them. And we've not also got to be afraid of responding and reacting to them in a proper, open way. The question then you asked about was how do we show and do things differently. Let me give you an example. We built, my manifesto was to build 12 new schools. We built 15 asbestos schools. Then we've also built housing too. One of the things that I did was say, look, I want a better bang for my buck. So if the public sector is investing that money, I want apprenticeship. I want workers' rights protected. I want the living wage paid. And I want to be able to do that. So we've instilled that into everything that we do. Use the social value contract, use the social value act to make sure that that happens. It's the same thing around the devolution of health. One of the things that you should be championing, and I know you will, if you hear what I've got to say, is how we do the integration of health better. For me, it is absolutely obscene that we pay £600 or £700 a night to keep someone in hospital, and yet we can pay somebody £400 a week to look after them at home. And we can pay carers a decent wage to look after people as well. And we build the facilities, so instead of a doctor sending someone to hospital, they can send them to a step-up facility where then they can bring them back home with that support. And the same as when they're in hospital, we want to get them out of hospital. That saves the NHS literally hundreds of millions of pounds a year. And if we do that, we can create jobs through apprenticeships as well to give people that. We can support them. That's something how we're creative and innovative in with the challenges that we face, and that's what we need to do. That's what I've tried to do in every problem that we face. What I constantly say is we face many, many challenges, but the solutions there, if we look for them, and the opportunities that we can get out of those, are more than the problems we face, and that's what I try to do every single day.
Joe, thank you so much. I think I speak for everybody in the room. It's just been wonderful to hear, not just the sort of practice, but the passion, the enthusiasm and the belief that you bring. It reminds us what the Labour Party at its best is like. Thank you so much.
already said about that. We now need a really systematic way of pulling together and recording, both in written sense but with Vox Pops and everything else, the work that Labour is doing in local government. Because let's not kid ourselves, at a national level it's going to be a bloody long haul. Okay? But in the meantime, being able to demonstrate that Labour in power can do stuff for everybody's benefit, I think is going to be extraordinarily important. And so one of the things I would like Progress to think about is how we can pull together that information systematically, regularly, with a website.
Set up a local government think tank.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'm up for any idea and any help I can